right. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Today's webinar, it's about how delayed pediatric developmental milestones are being normalized with my guest, Dr. Larry Palevsky, and I am Maria Rickard-Hong. I am a co-founder of and the Education and Media Director for Documenting Hope, and I'm your host. If you do have any questions, type them into the chat box, and we'll take questions at the end if we do have time. For those of you who don't know about us, Documenting Hope is a 501c3 nonprofit that provides root cause healing solutions for children's chronic health and developmental conditions. We provide resources and support for parents and practitioners who are ready to move beyond the conventional symptom-suppressive approach to disease management and to instead use a root cause approach. You can find out more about us at our website, documentinghope.com. And just a quick disclaimer about our webinar. This webinar is not a substitute for medical advice, treatment, diagnosis, or consultation with a medical professional. It is intended for general informational purposes only and should not be relied upon to make determinations related to treatment of a medical condition. Documenting Hope has not verified does not guarantee the accuracy of the information provided in this webinar. So today my guest is Dr. Larry Palevsky. He is a holistic pediatrician who received his medical training from the NYU School of Medicine in 1987. He's licensed in the state of New York and is a diplomate of the American Board of Integrative Holistic Medicine. He's a past president of the American Holistic Medical Association and is well known as an advocate of children's medical rights. And I thank you for your service for what you did for Connecticut for sure. You can learn more about him at his website, which is drpalevsky.com, and on his weekly show, Critically Thinking with Dr. T and Dr. P on Rumble, which you can find at rumble.com/user/critically thinking. So hello, Dr. Palevsky. Welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Maria. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. And we got connected because of Josie Nelson, who's our research director, I believe. And she had seen your presentation that you gave at MAPS.
Correct.
And she got very excited about it and connected us. So I'm thankful that you have joined us. And before we get rolling, I'd like to ask you how you got into doing what you're doing and why you're so I guess why you're so adamant about, the things that you do in children's health.
Well, I became a pediatrician, and along the way, I didn't get into what I'm doing. It got into me because I started to see the things in the real world that didn't align with what I was taught in medical school. So I started learning about nutrition. I started learning about the idea that the body has the innate capacity to heal. I started learning about Chinese medicine and acupuncture and homeopathy and chiropractic work and osteopathy and herbs. And I started to see that there were just different philosophies in these modalities. And the more I delved in, the more I realized that what I was learning was further and further away from what medical school taught me, residency taught me, and what the medical bodies and regulatory agencies and governmental agencies were telling people were true. So I'm a truth seeker, and I hold on to the truth. It's not my truth. I don't care about my truth. I care more about what is true. And when I started to see what we were doing to kids that was harming them, I had to see them.
Yeah, you can't unsee it.
No.
Especially when you know and you read. And I think back when you were first starting to get into this, people and pediatricians and parents weren't as gaslit as they have been for quite a while now.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But I was gaslit by my colleagues as well.
I bet. You and Stephen Cowan, I think you two have sort of taken sort of the same path, which is it's great. It's phenomenal.
In fact, I met Dr. Cowan very early on in my process. So we go far back.
Okay. I can see the similarity. That's great. All right. So let's talk about why you're here today. And that is that the CDC and the American Academy of Pediatrics changed guidance for developmental milestones in February of 2022. And that's the presentation that I was referring to that you gave at MAPS earlier, just a few months ago. And what are examples of the guidance change in regard to developmental milestones?
Well, before I answer that, I just want to
Mhm.
say that child development shouldn't change.
Right.
And what I learned in the 1980s was based on what pediatricians had been seeing for decades. And the textbooks that I was using in the 1980s and early 90s were textbooks that had started way back in the 1880s and 1890s. And as far as I know, there's nothing that changed in child development
Mhm.
till recently. And
Right.
so in the early 2020s, it was decided that they needed to re-meet to reassess what normal development is and was. And so they made changes. And instead of a child normally sitting around 6 months, now a child will normally sit at 9 months. And
Right.
instead of a child rolling belly to back at 3 months, now it's normal at 6 months. And instead of a child walking around 12 months, now it's normal if they walk at 18 months. Instead of a child transferring objects from one hand to the next at 6 months, now it's closer to 9 months. And instead of a child pointing around a year, now it's 15 months to 18 months.
Mhm.
Instead of a child, I mean, I remember I went back in the charts in my textbooks of pediatrics from the 1980s.
Mhm.
The 50th percentile, so the median, where you'd expect the middle of the road of development to be for speech, 21 months was 50 words and 2 words together. Now it's 30 months is acceptable as 50 words. And you have to ask yourself, well, why would that change? Were we dumb back in the early 1900s, all
We're just
throughout
super
the
smart.
1980s? Did we just somehow not correctly
Mhm.
assess children?
Mhm.
Were we looking at things incorrectly? Did children all of a sudden change normal? And so I started to realize that, we were now dumbing down. And the title of the talk at MAPS, which is medmaps.org, Medical Academy of Pediatric Special Needs,
Mhm.
the title was Child Development Before We Lowered the Bar.
Yeah.
And I remember, we would learn that by 7 months, a child would creep. We
Mhm.
call it army crawl.
Right.
And then by 8 to 9 months, we'd see the child crawl on all fours. And first you'd see the child rock on all fours and then scoot and then
Right.
go onto all fours.
Right.
And the American Academy of Pediatrics and the CDC somehow decided that we didn't need children to have that developmental milestone
That's
anymore.
crazy.
Step back and say, okay, let's review. How does the child brain develop?
Mhm.
And the child brain develops from the back of the brain forward.
Right.
So stimulation happens because children start to develop voluntary movements, and that triggers the nerve cells in the brain to signal the development of train tracks,
Mhm.
nerve tracks, that then move to grow the middle of the brain. And then once the middle of the brain grows, it then triggers the development of nerve tracks to develop the front of the brain.
Right.
So it's a back to front direction.
Mhm.
And it usually happens because a child develops voluntary movements. And if you watch a baby initially, when they develop voluntary movements, it's right-sided and it's left-sided.
Mhm.
So the hand is here and the hand is here, and then the hand might go to the mouth between 2 and 3 months, and then go to the hand between 2 and 3 months. And then all of a sudden, by about 3 months, the hands come together. And between 3 and 4 months, not only do the hands come together, they'll come to the mouth, and then the child will roll. And so part of that brain development is not only right side moving forward, left side moving forward, but it's right side moving across, left side moving across.
Right.
And that's how the brain develops. Forward, right to left, and left to right. Sorry, it's my right.
That's okay. Yeah, I got it.
So what the American Academy of Pediatrics and the CDC and their experts are saying, Maria, is right to left and left to right development aren't important.
Jeez. Who are these people? Do they even know kids? Do they know anything?